The Finance, Insurance, and Section 16's Lands Committee will call to order. Let the record reflect in attendance of myself as chairperson, Mr. George Crowdis as vice chair, and Dr. Bud Cloutier as a committee member. Also in attendance are Mr. Greg Harding, Mr. Mike Legord, Dr. Maybell Trahan, Mr. Roger Dale Dehart, Ms. Debbie Benoit, Superintendent Bubba Ogeron, and members of his staff. Mr. Dane Voisin has just returned. Item number 2, consideration of approval for Group Health Preferred Provider Organization, PPO, renewal. This is a proposal by Mr. Curtis, and he is here to present.
Thank you, sir. You'll have before you 2 presentation charts. One says Group Insurance Renewal Analysis. That's the main one we're going to be going through. It has the last year's numbers and this year's numbers. And the other one, once we get basically done with item 1, the question was brought up to compare basically what this board offers in healthcare compared to other districts in our area. And that's what that is. And Mr. Fontaine will go through that once we get through this item. Basically, what you're looking at here is we have is our fixed cost. And our fixed cost is basically what we pay to use our PPO fee, which is to use a certain network, which is the UMR network. And also for them to process health claims. Each week, every Friday, we get a bill in from them. These are the claims we process. This is how much it costs. They also help process prescription drug coverage. All of that is happening through here, large case management. So you have the current amount, which is shown there, where we were paying $34.50 per person plus other fees. If you look all the way to the right, it says UMR Direct. I am on page 4, in case you're wondering. What we're looking at here is we have been doing business with Gillsbar. Everybody's familiar with Gillsbar. Gillsbar was bought out. They changed to HealthComp. And then they're currently changing their name again to Personify Health. It is going through one of those phases. And the relationships and people that were there for over 30 years are now gone. They all quit, they're retired, and it's not the same. So what we're proposing to do is go direct to UMR, skip the middleman. We've met with them face to face. We're sure that we can continue the processing in an effective way that's going on now and end up at the end, instead of $34.50, we're paying $29.50 per person. And end up saving quite a bit of money. In fact, if you look at the bottom in the gray, it's a reduction of 24% on our cost for the UMR network than what we're paying now. And that's mostly because we're going to get rid of Gillsbar.
The middleman, yep.
And that will change that. So that's basically what number 2 does. That is the fixed cost of our plan on just the, basically it is all our active employees and those who retired who are not on the Medicare Advantage plan. So you have well over 2,000 members that covers, not counting dependents and every belly button in there. It's a lot more than that.
Okay. So before they come up and present, I have a request for a motion, moved by Mr. Crowder, seconded by Dr. Cloutier. The committee recommends that the board approve and accept the proposed fixed cost renewal from United Healthcare UMR for the Terrebonne Parish School Board Group Health Plan for an estimated annual cost of $947,112 effective January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2027. Have a motion and a second. Call for public comment. Mr. Crowdis, Dr. Cloutier? Okay, do they want to come up and present?
Yeah, I just want to point out before he comes in, this is a 3-year deal. So
3
we're
years.
locked in for 3 years.
Mr. Ford, I have a comment.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if it would be you or to speak with him. So we're cutting out the middleman, is kind of what you said?
It's one of the things, when we first went to UMR, we were still with Gilsbar and UMR. And Gilsbar did do some of the large case management work, they helped process the claims. But again, things change, people change.
Right.
We didn't find we were getting the service we needed. And then I got Mr. Fontaine to call in the UMR people directly. And we started saying, look, if we drop UMR, Gilsbar / Personify / Health Comp, whoever you are now, can you do these things? And here are the things they do. We want to make sure you can do all these things. We want to make sure our prescription bill gets paid. We want to make sure our diabetic plan gets paid. We want to make sure the HRA plan gets done correctly. And we sat in the room for a couple hours, and at the end of it, we were comfortable that, yeah, we can drop Gilsbar and move everything over to just UMR and reduce that cost. Because quite frankly, as you'll see in other things, it's going to go up in another place.
Gotcha. The reason, I know I spoke with you this year, I've had several claims, and whatever, this UMR thing that we were doing, it wasn't paying my claims. I know we had some issues,
Right,
and I don't want to get personal
it
to
was
what.
going through, the claim would process
So
through
this should make it
Gilsbar
better?
and run through the UMR network.
Okay.
Hope, yes. The one thing we always want to do is when we sat there, okay, who will be doing this? I want to see the person, I want to meet
Right,
the
right.
person who's going to be handling this. And I, for the lack of a better term, I guess there is no better term, but I always want to say, who do I yell at?
Yeah.
Are you the person I'm going to call and yell at if something goes wrong? And those people were, Mr. Fontaine provided for me in his office, and we got to know each other. And I said, well, hopefully by the end of the year, we'll be okay, and we'll be able to make this 3-year deal work right, because you do have to raise your voice from time
Right,
to
right,
time.
right. Okay, just hoping it's going to be better than what we
I
had
think
before.
so.
Think so, okay.
Hope
Thank you.
so.
Appreciate it.
Mr. Crowdis?
So this is a 3-year deal. Is that the norm? Is that something that we've had in the past?
We've had long-term deals before. It's not, sometimes they don't, for instance, in the Medicare Advantage plan, what we'll talk about later, they only like to do short-term deals, maybe 2 at the most. But a 3-year deal was one of the things we asked for in getting this plan renewed, and we were able to get it.
So being that it is a 3-year deal, you feel pretty confident of what the plan is offering? If we run into any issues, problems with the plan?
Well,
is there a way
the plan's gonna offer the same thing it always does.
Okay.
What happens here is we're basically dealing directly with UMR now,
Gotcha.
having them process the claims, and we're gonna be calling them when we have a problem instead of Personify or Health Comp or whatever. Usually they were like a little middleman who I called up this one person, now she's retired. I said, I got a problem with this. Why is this prior approval not done yet? And they'll go on and they'll look and they'll see, oh, well, the clinicals weren't sent in or something like that. We now have people at UMR that we've sat with and dealt with, okay, am I the person? Who's the person? I'm the person. We got their contact information, we ate lunch together, so now we know who to yell at if there's a prior approval problem, and know who to get it fixed.
Okay, and just a second follow-up. This is just for my clarification, but once retired teachers get to age 65 and they get on Medicare, are they dropped from the school plan?
Our Medicare, the way we look at it is this, is they can get Medicare A and B and stay on the school board plan, and Medicare will just be primary, or they can join our Medicare Advantage plan, which is a school board sponsored Medicare Advantage plan. It is not a HMO type plan, it is a PPO. So they can go to any doctor that takes Medicare. But if they don't like that plan, they have the right to come back to the other plan. When we offered this the first year, maybe 5 people came back to the other plan. And we had people every month coming in, signing up with Connie, trying to go on the Medicare Advantage plan. Now, nothing's perfect, it's got a little problem here and there, and we're always working to fix it out. But for the most part, those who are on that plan like it. If they go into the hospital with a gallbladder surgery, they come out with 0 bill. And I would like it.
Sure.
I'm gonna have Mr. Fontaine come up and
Mr.
give you
Curtis.
this plan assessment. Oh,
Mr. Dehart had a question.
I'm sorry, sir.
Sorry, I gotta ask you one question. Now that UMR is gonna be taking over everything and it needs board approval and everything, talking about, after the committee, what happens if you have a medical problem right now and address it? We still use our old card, a new card's gonna be issued later?
There will be new cards January 1st, and it'll be important that everybody who has the old card on January 1st throw away the old card and
That's what
not use it.
That's what I'm after.
But from now till January 31st,
December 31st.
people will have to use the current card they have.
Okay,
And we will still kind of do business for a few months
yes,
with Gil's Bar / Personified,
Yes,
those
sir.
people, to kind of do what we call a run out, to get
Yeah.
rid of all the bills through December. And once they're done with that, but every bill starting January 1st will go directly to UMR.
because I have 2 policies with UMR. One of them with the school board, which is primary, so that's why I asked you the question about keep the card until January 1st.
Right,
Okay.
because everyone will get a new card.
Thank you for that
All right.
information. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
At one of the recent meetings, there was a request for us to prepare, and we've done this periodically in the past, some comparative benchmarking. And that's what I have for you here. I'm not going to labor you through every single column, but I'll explain to you what you're looking at here so that you can consider it and refer to it from time to time. So we're comparing the benefits, the contributions from both the employee, board, and total premium, and we compare you against the Office of Group Benefits, which is going to be your main comparison and your main benchmark. And then throughout the state, several of the larger systems and systems we've been able to get data from: Ascension, Lafayette, Lafourche, St. Tammany. Second page includes Iberia, Tangipahoa, Livingston, East Baton Rouge, and then beyond that, St. James, Zachary, Calcasieu, and Vermilion. So pretty good representation of school systems around the state. Once again, not going to labor you through each and every one of them, but it's easy to see when you look across that we are superior in benefits to the Office of Group Benefits, especially from a deductible standpoint. They don't have any type of office visit co-payment. Our out-of-pockets are competitive, our premiums are competitive, much lower. And then when you look across, really the only 2 systems that are even close to us are going to be that of, I do believe, Ascension's close in rate, but much lower in benefit. St. Tammany is close in benefit, but much higher in rate. So when you look across here, I guess the summary of it is that we're doing a plan, we're running a plan that is superior in benefits, but costs less to both the board and our employees.
Okay, any other comments? Anybody have any questions? No questions? Okay.
Mr. Fontaine, I was waiting for you to finish. So with this added responsibility, are you guys or with this change, are you guys taking on more responsibility? And follow-up question is, are your fees going to change from us?
Our fees have been the same since we represented you. It's $1 a
That's
head.
correct.
We've never increased. Our responsibility and our roles kind of ebbs and flows with servicing of the case. We have our regular duties that happen throughout the year as far as marketing the coverages and reporting and all of that kind of thing. It depends on the level of claim services involved, and I can tell you, we enjoyed such a good history with Gillsbar for so many years, and then when HealthComp bought them and you started to see the quality individuals that serviced us so well start to disappear, that part of the administration started to deteriorate a little bit, and it showed up in the service. UMR has been, has been doing the majority of it, but some of the touch points that HealthComp was doing have fallen short. So we kind of filled that void, but hopefully that void doesn't need to be filled going forward. And UMR is a big national third-party administrator. We've got several other cases with them, do real good work. We know their staff very well. What I do like about them is they're very layered, so if I can't get a hold of somebody, there's several other people to get a hold of. Right now, at HealthComp, we've got one person here locally.
So that was my next question was, when it was Gillsbar, they were sort of a local company. I mean, they were larger, but they were somewhat local, this region. And now with HealthComp, they're not. They're not a regional company, right? So
No,
the
but
money.
Good local representation.
Yeah.
So there's representation around the state. Our account managers, one's going to be out of Baton Rouge, the other's out of Metairie, but huge presence in both cities and around the state. So and we've been working with their top management for decades.
So
Good relationship with
The
them.
reason I ask that is because a lot of times when things come up on this board, expenditures for any resource that we're paying for, we like to keep it as local as possible. So this is doing just that, keeping it as local as possible with this
Correct.
change. Okay. Thank you, sir. Any other board members have any questions, comments, concerns? Thank you, Mr. Fontaine.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Great job putting together comparisons. Thank you.
So
that.
for this motion, do I have any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. Item number 3, consideration of approval for group health stop-loss reinsurance renewal. This is also from Mr. Curtis. I'll go ahead and read the recommendation. The committee recommends that the board approve and accept the renewal proposal from HCC Insurance Company for group health stop-loss reinsurance with a specific deductible of $450,000 per claim with a $250,000 tiered split fund, including a provision for no new lasers and a 50% rate cap at renewal for an estimated annual cost of $732,546.76 effective January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025. So motion moved by Mr. Crowder, seconded by Dr. Cloutier. Any public comment? Mr. Curtis.
If you look on page 5, one of the things Mr. Fontaine mentioned is he goes out, he markets our business out, and it'll show those businesses that were reached out to. And then on page 6, the best one we had, of course, was with HCC, which we have done business with for years and years. But this is an increase. If you look at the renewal, down at the bottom, it says 20.3%. This is quite a bit of an increase, but we've had quite a bit of large claims this year. I don't like to get into individual things because of HIPAA laws, but we've had several people with cancer, and a premature baby was born, and those kind of hit us hard. Now, we're going to get some money back off of that. I think we looked into it. For every dollar we have spent on these premiums, we've gotten $1.08 back. So taking that 20% increases with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Yes, Dr. Cloutier.
I was seeing on here, no new lasers. And obviously, we're not buying lasers, but I'm just trying to figure out what the lasers.
That's a good question, because in that world, you kind of think about You think lasers.
Right.
So
Is an eye doctor.
what we're really looking at here is they'll put, a laser is when they'll spot something, like so-and-so's doctors start, and the reinsurance company starts looking at these claims, well, this person's gonna need a double lung transplant
Okay.
coming up within a year or so. We're gonna put a laser on them, which means they're not gonna fit into this, so we're not gonna cover that person. Or this person's gonna cost you money, we're not gonna cover that person. So we'll renew, but we'll renew on everybody but this person and that person. So that's what lasers are. It kind of blocks those people out from being included in the plan.
And that makes total sense, because that's what causes your cost of the plan to go up when you have those people needing a double lung transplant or
Right.
whatever. But what happens to those folks? I mean,
Well, the burden's completely on us.
okay,
In other words, when they hit 450,000, there's none that transfers over to the other company.
right,
And then after that 250 transfer to us until we hit another 250, and then they take over for the rest.
okay.
Okay, so for whatever it would cost, we would take on the whole burden,
Yeah,
and they wouldn't be included in this reinsurance program.
thank you, that made a lot of sense, I appreciate it.
Mr.
So if
Crowder?
I'm understanding you correctly, what you're saying is that in order to keep the premiums low, you eliminate these lasers, and then if it has to happen, it comes out.
Well, when we cut the deal, we said, okay, we'll do this deal, but we don't want any lasers, and we don't want more than the 50% renewal cost for next year. That's part of the deal. The company, if this wasn't in there, and Mr. Fontaine can explain a little more, because there was something that changed in the rules that allow us to do this. In the past, they'll say, well, we're gonna give you a 50% increase, or we can put a laser on that person. And we, but you wanna explain kind of how we got into the no laser program?
So just to be clear, it says no new lasers. So,
We have none currently.
oh, they have none current, okay,
We
that's
have
what I'm
none
saying.
currently. So for years and years, use kind of the two biggest claims out there, your reinsurance carriers were scared of transplants and premature babies. Now we live in a day and age where a prescription drug can hit a high mark, 7 figures, not 6 figures, 7 figures, and there are many of them out there, a couple of dozen. In recent years, we were really strongly trying to renegotiate the contract to include a provision that does not allow, upon renewal, to issue a laser on anybody. And a laser can either mean not covering them, or a laser can mean, hey, this person's gonna have $750,000 of cancer treatment. Instead of a $450,000 deductible, they've got a $750,000 deductible. So we wanted to utilize a no new laser provision in your contract, which we implemented last year. And if you think about it, that wouldn't do you a bit of good if they could issue 1,000% increase on you, okay? We can't laser anybody anymore, but heck, we're just gonna get it in premium, okay? So here's 1,000% rate increase. You're capped at 50%. That's the lowest cap the industry offers, and it's the best protection the industry offers. And you need it now. It wasn't as prevalent in years past, but when you've got hemophilia medications out there that are over $1 million a year, you've got all these new gene therapy medications that are coming out, and it's rare that you have that type of thing, but when you do, you sure are glad you've got this coverage.
Thank you. Any other board members? Thank you, Mr. Lynn. Thank you, Mr. Curtis. Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. Item number 4, consideration of approval for retiree group Medicare Advantage Health Plan for 2025. This is also from Mr. Curtis. The committee recommends that the board accept the proposal from United Healthcare for a group Medicare Advantage Health Plan for eligible retirees with an estimated annual cost of $2,506,983.60 for the plan year effective January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025. Moved by Mr. Crowder, seconded by Dr. Cloutier. Public comment? Mr. Curtis.
Okay, so this also, before we get to this, if you turn back to page 7, I just want to point out in the last column all the way to the bottom, even with the 20% increase from which we have on our reinsurance costs, we still gonna, because we are changing direct to UMR and lowering our administrative costs on the regular plan, we're gonna have almost a 10% decrease in our fixed costs. And the lower we can keep our fixed costs, that just means we get more money to spend on medical claims. And that's the big enemy you fight in this. So going back to page 10, what our Medicare Advantage, changes occurred. So we're gonna end up with a 5.2% increase in Medicare Advantage costs. And that's an estimated cost. We're estimating a $2.5 million cost this year. I'm sorry, for 2025. For 2023, it was almost $2.3 million. Now, what's different? What's different is United Healthcare is raising their premium because changes that are being made to Medicare. In the Inflation Reduction Act, there was a provision where the government closed what's called the famous donut hole, where there was a period where you were covered by prescription drug coverage, and then there was a gap in the person paid until you got to another set of coverages, okay? And they always refer to that as the donut hole. Well, that gets closed up now. So insurance companies like United Healthcare, Humana, they all kind of don't know what that means. Exactly how much is that going to cost? What provision? So there's going to be an added cost to them. So they increase their coverage a lot. Now, with our plan, our United Healthcare plan, we have a wrap. So we have a secondary prescription card that goes with our Medicare Advantage plan. So on our People's Part D, they don't see a $600 upfront copay they have to pay. All right, there's no deductible, $600 deductible. That's the word I was looking for. We're going to pay that for them. All they're going to pay is if they used to pay $30 with script care, they're going to pay $30 there. If it's a $10 generic, they're going to pay $10. We do that through the script care. So that cost is actually, in theory, is going to come down. So really, we're kind of interested to see how this plays out with all the changes and the new rules. Our script care cost should go down. We know exactly what our Medicare Advantage cost is going to be. They raised the premium. But maybe by June or July next year, we'll be able to look and see what basically what it cost them, what their costs are. And this may be too high and they may lower it, or it may be not high enough and they may want to increase it again. So 1 year is all we're going to get out of this plan. But there's a lot of uncertainty out there, and we're projecting a 5.2% overall increase in our costs.
Mr. Crowders? Dr. Cloutier? Any other board members? So my one question is this, and it's just to kind of get an idea with United Healthcare and the way that they do dictate their cost, their price. Do they act as sort of a fiduciary towards their clients as with regards to, okay, we're going up on a premium this year because we don't know what to expect, but next year, do we reevaluate? Are they obligated to reevaluate, or?
Well, that's one of the things is we're going to we sat in the room with them. Their original cost was they wanted to go up to 102.
Yeah.
We got them in a room with Mr. Fontaine's office and we kind of beat them down to the 94. It doesn't sound like a lot, but trust me, that was a fight
Yeah.
to get them down.
12,000 in savings overall, yeah.
But in that amount, we always, around June or July, something like that, we'll have a meeting with them and we'll say, okay, what was the claims and what everything was looking like, and we'll sit down and we'll do this all over again.
Okay.
And we'll see how your claims were running, and how well are you being funded by CMS, and if I think we could get a reduction, Mr. Fontaine and I will beat them over the head again and try to get some more money on them.
Okay. Yeah, well, and I just wanted to make sure, because I'm sure it's competitive out there, so I'm sure there's other options for us.
Well, we
Ultimately.
we punched this out too, and, but this was the best deal that we could get. And I think what really works with United Healthcare is they work well with SaveRx. The Humana won't work with them, and the SaveRx program for the drug part is really it costs us money, but it saves us money in the long run. Because one, I would say the one thing about Medicare Advantage that may make it or break it is going to be the Part D part of it, the drug part of it. By using SaveRx, I mean, I think next year's supposed to be like a $600 deductible before they pay one thing, and then after that, $75.25. When they go to this plan and they can get the drugs they want, because Medicare doesn't pay every drug like we do, and they can continue getting the drugs they want, and they can get it at the same price that it would. In fact, for us, if you're working here, you got a $250 deductible on drugs. Medicare Advantage people don't, have nothing. And they're able to do that with that secondary wrap. And that is basically school board helping fund that to make it look just like the other plan. And I think it's a benefit for them, because if we didn't have that in place, they probably wouldn't want to be on the Medicare Advantage plan, because the real cost in Medicare, in healthcare right now is really the drug side. The drug side really is what's costing us. Our doctor visits, our hospitalizations, it's not what's ringing our bell, it's the drug costs. So that helps them out. So that marriage with United Healthcare really helps out in the long run.
Thank you.
And we have over almost 1,500 people now on the Medicare Advantage plan. And we started out with 1,100 or so, 1,200, something like that.
Wow.
So it has grown.
Is there a lot of spouses, you think, or is it just?
Spouses and we'll have a spouse on it without the retiree, because most of our employees are women.
Age difference.
So the husband's older and he'll qualify for it first and go on it, and they're on the UMR plan, and then they start seeing, my husband gets to go to the Y for free, and he gets to do this, and they're waiting for 65 birthday so they can join the plan too.
Yeah.
And get all the bells and whistles that come with it.
Well, we appreciate you and all the work that you do, and how much you guys go to bat for us every year, Mr. Fontaine. I know I don't give you compliments very often, they're hard to come by from me, but thank you for what you've been doing.
Thank you.
Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. Item number 5, matter bearing upon monthly budget to actual comparison report and monthly sales tax collection update. This is from Ms. Klingman, Supervisor of Finance.
Good evening. I have a quick little handout since Mr. Crowder had a special request last month. So I'll start by just saying that your monthly budget to actual comparisons are in your packet. And for sales tax, we're comparing the month of August, so August 24 compared to August of 2023. For the month of August, we had a decrease of 7.97%. And if you've looked in your packet, the cash equivalent to that is nearly 500,000 for 1 month.
500,000.
Nearly 500,000. So the handout, Ms. Brode put this handout together for us. If you'll notice, it's a 10-year look back. So for the first 7 years, everything was pretty stable. And then the green is the COVID year. So we had an influx of COVID funds into the economy that year. And then following that year, we had Hurricane Ida, and we've been in recovery since, but the recovery spending is dwindling. So the last 3 fiscal years, there's a decline. If you compare the peak for the yellow one, the peak for Ida to 23, 24, if you subtract those 2 numbers, we're looking at a decrease from our highest amount of $3.3 million over a 2-year period. I don't have any more bad news. So-
I have a question. When you, just looking at the graph, you know, that you gave us, this past 12 months versus the previous 12 months, and as well as on our new graph you gave us, thank you, we can see obviously there's a decrease going on. So our sales
Right.
tax revenue is continuing to decrease.
Mhm.
Now, with the property tax changes that are going to be coming with the new assessments, not that you can predict the future, you know, but our forecast would be that we might see a bump up with the property taxes. Because if we keep the same percentage, you know, we can bump that up. Is that going to be sufficient enough to offset this?
Although I can't speculate at nearly 500,000 a month, if we keep on the trajectory that we're on, I'm going to say no.
Yes.
But I don't know what even the next month holds. We could have an increase next month.
True.
I don't know, but at the rate that we've been going, I would speculate the answer would be no.
So we may need to be looking at, and I don't like increased taxes, but we may need to be looking at, because we have one of the lowest property tax rates in the state, to maybe submit for something along that line to keep us funded. You know, just mentioning to my other colleagues is food for thought for things going forward. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Ms. Benoit?
Yeah, so really the last 4 years are not normal years because of
that's what I was
the things that have happened, the events.
Right.
That have, you know, bumped up the
Correct.
numbers. So if you look at it that way, is it really that disturbing, you know, that, yes, it's going down, but it looks like it's going down to regulate to what we had
Mhm.
in all the previous years, which would be normal.
Right. I don't think, my personal opinion, I don't think we'll ever get back to pre-COVID numbers, only because cost of living and wages have changed so drastically since then. That's just my personal opinion on the matter.
But I mean, even if it was closer to that, you know, that
Right.
kind of normal, in other words, is what I guess.
It
you're
is.
saying.
The dollar doesn't stretch that far, though, so that's,
So to follow up on what Debbie's saying as well, I think this is the new normal, but we have been spending a little bit more money as well. So our spending should eventually go down, or at least level out, because we've been paying for, even though FEMA's been covering a substantial part of the bill, we've been paying for those rebuilds and those repairs, and that's money that we normally wouldn't spend. I have been considering bringing to the board, and we'll talk about this at a later date, of course, but I do think, I agree with Dr. Cloche, it is time to go to the people and see if we can get some better funding, at least in the way of homeowners, home tax. You know, I just, kind of one of those things, I've said it before, you get what you pay for, you know, and if they're willing to invest in the community and the people that we're educating, then that's, put their money where their mouth is.
Yes, sir.
So, thank you. Any other board members? Thank you, Ms. Klingman.
Thank you.
There being no further business to come before Finance, Insurance, and Section 16's lands, this meeting is adjourned. I turn it back over